A YouTube channel called Interesting, Creepy, and Abandoned is checking out a local haunted house to see what they can find. They are making jokes as they search the first floor, but the atmosphere suddenly changes as they make their way up an old flight of stairs.
It's just really silent in here.
I'm just getting a very weird vibe up here. I don't know.
One room has a very weak floor and a ladder leading up to the attic. The strange feeling grows stronger as they make their way up, and that's when they find it.
What is it, dude? Oh my god.
A doll has been strung up by the neck and left to hang in the attic all alone. This is already creepy enough, but then the doll starts spinning in a slow circle before their very eyes when it was stationary just a moment ago. The two of them can't figure out why the doll is moving on its own, so they decide to get out of the house before any other unexplainable events can happen. This tiny alien-looking body was recovered in the South American desert of Atacama in 2003. Rumors quickly spread that the tiny inch being, which had gigantic pointy eye sockets and 2 missing ribs, had to be from another galaxy. DNA testing quickly revealed a different story. The small human was a member of the local population who had a rare genetic variation of dwarfism that has never been documented before. This discovery would have never been possible if not for this video to generate public interest. Hina Tahir and her sister are camping in New Jersey's Double Trouble State Park when they notice a strange woman who is half submerged in a local lake. Her clothes are all white, and she has a serious expression on her face as she sways in place. To this very day, the two girls aren't sure if what they recorded was a live person or a ghost. If it was a person, then I have absolutely no idea why they would be in the water while fully clothed, and if it was a ghost, then maybe her body is lurking in the shadow waters below. Whatever the case may be, Hina and her sister decide to leave the woman in peace and dare not go any closer. Julia Merfeld gets into a stranger's car and they introduce themselves.
So I guess you got a little business to discuss?
Yeah.
She is interviewing a hitman for hire. They discuss payment, a good date and time, and the target, Jacob, her husband. The conversation becomes increasingly creepy as they get into the finer details of the job.
You don't want him to suffer, so I'll make it quick and clean.
Perfect.
I mean, I can do it any way you want me to, but I just want to know how you want it done.
Really, whatever's easiest. If you can get him outside, that would be great.
Okay.
Because it would be messy in the house.
well.
They later have a second meeting finalizing the plan. After showing the hitman a picture of the target, Julia starts talking about why she is having this done.
As terrible as it sounds, it was easier than divorcing him. You know, I didn't have to worry about the judgment of my family. I didn't have to worry about breaking his heart. Stuff like this. It's like kind of like a clean getaway. I mean, it's going to hurt his family.
I'm just going to take him head on there, and I'm going to shoot him right in the face.
Okay.
Okay.
Little does Julia know that she is actually talking to an undercover officer, and these two videos contain all the evidence they need to put her away. The judge gave Julia a sentence of between 5 and 20 years. Let me know if you agree with this decision, or if you would have given a harsher sentence. A remorseless psycho has been roaming the streets, striking people senseless with a hammer in Las Vegas, Nevada. This time he's come across a particularly vulnerable homeless target who is fast asleep in the cold street. The lunatic looks over his shoulder. It's the middle of the night, no one else is around. He quietly removes his blunt instrument of destruction from a plastic bag and takes 2 swings. Little does he know his hammer has connected with the head of a mannequin set up by the LVMPD. This is not a homeless person, but rather a decoy that police are using to catch the man who has been terrorizing the streets. It was an undercover operation that they weren't sure would work, but to their astonishment, they catch him after only a few nights. The man, later identified as Shane Schindler, had this to say upon his arrest.
Okay, have you hit anybody with a hammer? No.
His attitude quickly changes after being confronted with the video evidence. Shane was sentenced to serve between 8 and 20 years for striking the decoy with a hammer. I don't think police could pin him to the other incidents in the area, or else he would have gotten more time. Either way, at no point did he seem particularly upset by his actions or their consequences. In the winter of 2012, this YouTuber was almost a goner when a mother black bear decided to charge at him, not once but twice. Speed Shooter XT was hunting in this Oregon forest when he encountered some bears nearby and began filming. The bear starts off by keeping her distance, but ultimately begins charging in his direction. The most scary part of this entire video is the look on the mama bear's face when she begins approaching, played in slow motion. The man managed to scare the bear away by being loud, and shortly after, she charges towards him again before the video ends. Luckily, this YouTuber got away safely, considering black bears can run up to 40 miles per hour. So if the bear did chase him, he wouldn't have standed a chance. Theo freaking Door is walking around outside with a friend when he stops and looks around, suddenly feeling paranoid and alarmed for no reason at all.
Dude, that was straight up like, hold on. I got a huge uneasy feeling like I was being watched by something.
He keeps sensing that something is wrong, and sure enough, he stumbles upon a large square patch of freshly dug earth directly in front of him.
Yeah, I want to get a good view of it. Dude, somebody was digging a grave out here. Oh god.
Theo and his friends stay around for long enough to document the event, and then they quickly take off. According to them, this is a massive hole that is too large to be for a dog or any ordinary house pet. Maybe I am just jumping to conclusions, but that hole looks like it's just the right size for a body. Let me know if you agree or not. Athlete Chad is finishing up a camping trip with his family in Rexburg, Idaho, when he notices a large bear approaching his motorhome without fear. Soon it rears up on its hind legs to get a better look at what's inside the camper.
Oh yeah. Whoa! Hey.
Oh, no, he's sliding the thing down!
Hey, no.
He's taking
She's
no, he'll rip it off!
Get out.
The YouTuber and his family managed to get away unharmed, but the teeth marks on their side view mirror will always remind them they came face to face with a wild animal in the woods. This video seems like just an image of a gator at the start, with its jaw wide open, staring blankly, completely motionless. But it's not a photo. That becomes clear when the camera zooms in closer to the gator's eye, and it starts backing up angrily, its jaw even wider. Then it goes berserk in the tunnel, clambering towards the camera, until the camera pulls away. The gator then approaches slowly, biting on a cord. After backing away again, the camera approaches the wide-mouthed, sharp-toothed creature once more. The eyes, the scales, the teeth. There's nothing about this that isn't chilling to the core. But what is a camera doing up close and personal down in a sewer anyway? Mike Kruger in the comments section of this video seems pretty knowledgeable on the subject. He wrote that the camera was doing a condition assessment of the storm sewer. He noted that behind the alligator, you can see the swamp. The tired gator simply clambered into the pipe to have a sewer nap, that is, until his nap was so rudely interrupted. Downright Dives is a 3-man team of dumpster divers who go through the trash looking for discarded valuables. They comb through a series of dumpsters without incident, mostly coming across old rotten food. They're searching through the last couple of dumpsters when one of them makes a startling discovery.
No. Moved in there, guys. Guys. Moved in there. I'm not even joking.
Neither of his two friends believe that there could have been somebody lying at the bottom of the dumpster. They just have to take a closer look for themselves.
That box right there just moved. I'm not even joking. That one. No. Go.
The camera doesn't get a clean shot, but you can hear a man pop up from underneath the boxes and screams that he owns everything inside of the dumpster. According to the description, it was a homeless man who continued to come after them and even got into a physical altercation off camera. I'm on the fence with this one since we never get a chance to see the homeless person in question. Also, living in a dumpster is a stereotype about homeless people that is rarely true, so this encounter is very unlikely. Let me know if you agree. This rare footage of a sewer monster is brief, but frightening. The video seems to capture a glimpse of something large with a tail launching around the underground. The black and white adds to the creepiness of the footage, when suddenly something the size of a kangaroo moves swiftly past and out of sight. Although not quite as unsettling in movement as a creepy critter might be, whatever this strange being is, it looks completely out of place in the sewage system. Any idea what this strange creature could be?
Come here, Emma. What's scary?
Emma is too afraid to come into her parents' room because she says she can see a bad man in there with them. When her mother asks to point where the person is, she indicates that it's in a dark closet which is open. The mother examines the closet. She doesn't see anything, but she seems to get an uneasy feeling that matches her daughter's emotions.
What, baby? Want daddy? Okay, go get daddy.
The child turns around and freezes. She is too afraid to move without her mother following closely behind her. There's something about this video that seems very dark and genuine. Obviously, the mother felt a presence too, or she would have not uploaded this video with the title of 2-year-old girl sees ghost again. Overall, more information is needed before I make a final judgment, but let me know if you think Emma was seeing something that her parents could not on that night. This is supposedly the last footage of 2 guys who were driving through a forest in 2006, uploaded by Lars Helg Nedrabo. He writes, "This is some of the footage found on their camcorder. From what they are saying on the video, they were trying to take a shortcut through the forest. The footage is dark and not so clear, but it shows 2 friends driving along a road, laughing, singing, and generally having a good time. At one point, they are in a forested area when they come across a roadblock. One of the friends gets out to move it. The road beyond is a bit spookier. It's bordered by trees and darkness. They come across another roadblock, and the driver stops so his friend can pop out again to move it, but he can't for some reason. It's locked perhaps. He gets back in the car, and we can assume they turned around to get back onto the main road. Then, for some reason, they get out of the safety of their car and head into the forest. Bad idea. While they're walking, they hear something not of this world. The sound is disturbing and seems to scare the men who are searching for its source with a dim flashlight, but they start laughing, as it sounds strange, like an animal choking or something. Soon, however, they're not laughing. Whatever creature was making that noise suddenly attacks one of them. While the other races towards the car, you can hear him sobbing as he attempts to get back inside to safety, but he doesn't make it. The creature attacks him as well, and the camera catches him as he falls to the ground and is dragged off. We can assume neither of the pair made it out alive, as the title Last Footage would suggest. What was this creature? Do you think this footage is fake or real? It's been debated on the internet for quite a while now, whether real or not. It's quite scary. Ethan Menard and his friend are out exploring when they find a long tunnel that gives off a creepy vibe. When they are commenting on how dark the tunnel is and just trying to keep calm in general, when suddenly a small child's voice chimes in somewhere behind them.
It's like pitch black in here.
The timing of this creepy small voice is quite a curious and morbid coincidence. It simply says hello at just the right moment during a pause in their conversation.
It's like pitch black in here.
Whether this was real or edited is up for you to decide, but I think there is a strong chance that something paranormal was down there. Brennan Taylor published this video in July of 2017, writing, "We explored the forest to the depths of where normal hikers are not allowed to go. The things we saw changed us and we will never be the same. We decided it would be a good idea to play the Kukuri-san, which is basically the Japanese equivalent to the Ouija board. First, the man filming asks the board if they're going to run into a body that night, and the board answers 4. Being that there were 4 members in the group, this response must have sent a chill up each of their spines. When asking the spirit if they should be in the forest, the spirit answers no. At one point, one of the crew notes that moths are a sign of the afterlife, and they are all over the place, even landing on the board. They also notice scratch marks on a nearby tree, which seem to indicate that somebody clawed at it, in the shape of an X. They next ask the spirit if they'll find someone that very night. The answer, yes. When they finally decide to leave the forest, they've lost the coin that is used as a planchette. According to the Kukuri-san, one of them must spend the coin within 24 hours of playing, or otherwise there's bad consequences. They backtrack to look for the coin, but the coin is never found. What will happen? Will they have 70 years of bad luck? It's hard to know for sure. All we do know is that they survived to tell the tale and post it on YouTube. This rare footage of a possible ghost ship made waves over the internet back in 2010. Everyone thought it was a paranormal sighting at sea, but it actually turned out to be a rare mirage caused by changes in air temperature. Apparently, when the water cools off, the air temperature just right, it sometimes can make ships look like they are floating. This is called the Fata Morgana's effect. I'd really appreciate it if someone in the comments section could leave a more detailed scientific explanation to help us better understand this strange phenomenon. A YouTuber named Darth Nixa claims to have found this disregarded video somewhere in Croatia back in 2005. In it, 2 friends are hanging out in the park late at night when they notice someone is apparently following them closely without making a sound.
Mel, pišu, kaj radi? Sam stoji.
The 2 of them think it's weird, but they don't seem to be very intimidated, especially considering they outnumber the stranger 2 to 1. Even when the unknown man gets closer and does a creepy walk towards them, they laugh it off as some sort of joke and calmly walk away. Soon it becomes obvious that this person is not going to go away on his own, and they turn around to confront him. The 2 friends still aren't taking the situation seriously until it becomes too late.
Ej, jel si ti u redu onak?
Oprosti, ja vam treba pomoć.
The way the video cuts off makes me think that this could just be a student art project that Darth Nixa could have either found somewhere or even made himself. Let me know what they are saying if you speak Croatian, and if you think this video is real, maybe there is a longer version floating around where we can actually see what happens next. A group of Bigfoot hunters are searching for clues deep in the woods when they come across something ominous glowing in the clear night sky.
Oh my goodness. See?
Oh.
3. And in a different position.
3 orbs appear to form a mysterious triangular pattern off in the distance. Every once in a while, the light on top gets extremely bright and then fades away. They can't figure out what these lights are, and I'm not quite sure either. Tell me if you think this was an alien sighting, or maybe even some sort of experimental aircraft. All I know is that if these bizarre lights really are a regular occurrence around these woods, then maybe the idea of Bigfoot isn't so far-fetched after all. Leviathan published this video on February 18th, 2016, writing, "In March 2015, I went on a hiking trip in the woods of Monrova, Czech Republic. He said after a few hours of walking, he suddenly heard some strange sounds coming from south of him. While walking through a mossy wooded area, he hears a sound echo throughout the forest. The camera shot moves towards the sound, and the fearless hiker decides to enter deeper into the forest to investigate. He comes across some tracks that look Bigfoot-esque, in the shape of human feet, only bigger. Deciding he'd rather live than come face to face with this creature, he gets the heck out of Dodge. But as he's leaving, the strange call is heard in the forest again. It's almost like the wind is screaming, but the day is absolutely calm. On the way back to his car, he claims that he heard the noise the whole way, while guesses as to what this creature might be range from Bigfoot to werewolves. One thing's for certain, stay out of the forest. McJuggernuggets is a famous YouTuber who comes home one day only to find evidence of a serious break-in. Some of his possessions are missing, things that he is sure were in his room earlier before.
Somebody took the hard drive.
Hard drive to what?
All my behind the scenes. Somebody literally came into the house and must have taken this shit. I'm going to check the security camera.
He argues with his father for a bit about the likelihood of someone breaking in, but the security video does not lie.
Hold on, here it comes.
Sure enough, some stranger cases the house by knocking on the door a few times, even going so far as trying the knob. Soon he uses a long tool to pry open a window and reaches inside to quickly scoop up a nearby hard drive before taking off.
Oh my god, dude.
Much to McJuggernuggets' amazement, the window was right next to his bed. He soon comes to the sickening realization that this person, who was perhaps a stalker, literally reached into his room to retrieve a hard drive full of unedited video content. Who knows what this deranged fan will come back for next time? Desertify Urbex is a British YouTube channel that explores abandoned places that may or may not be haunted. This time he ventures into an old abandoned crypt that has fallen into disrepair. He easily gains access through the wide open door and immediately finds pieces of caskets that have been smashed open and apparently looted long ago. Profane is the only word he can use to describe how the situation felt, as if he had no right to be here, disturbing this sacred place yet again. At one point he picks up and handles what could be a bone, though it could also just be a gray piece of rubble. It's hard to tell for sure. Later on, he finds a large plot of land that has also been dug up by grave robbers. He even sees the large rock they used to smash open the casket before grabbing whatever they were after inside. They were probably just looking to take jewelry and other valuables, but who knows, maybe they wanted to take something even more personal and a whole lot worse. A YouTuber named 11 Makeda and their friends are camping in the backyard when they completely lose control of their bonfire. First, they try to put out the blaze with a simple garden hose. When that doesn't work, they try to smother the fire with dirt using shovels. Meanwhile, the flames grow taller and hotter as the fire spreads outwards, threatening to reach a house that's only a short distance away. Also, if it reaches the cornfield behind them, then the fire could quickly cover acres of land. The short 5-minute video ends before we get a chance to see what happens next. Hopefully they did the right thing and called for firefighters to put an end to the backyard inferno. Otherwise, if they were too afraid of getting in trouble and continued to try and contain it themselves, then it might very have cost somebody their home. Carter is making a YouTube video to show off his expensive new roof, but he accidentally catches something lurking inside his home during the process.
That's right. New roof. Shingles were delivered today. Old roof was torn off yesterday. New roof will be put on tomorrow. 6,000.
A giant, oversized face is staring directly at Carter. Through his own window on the left-hand side, you can see its eyes, mouth, and nose have been shaded perfectly to form a ghoulish expression. I've watched this video many times, and I still can't tell if this is truly the face of a ghastly creature, or just a reflection of trees outside. If it is a reflection of a tree, then I find it weird how the leaves or branches don't seem to be moving at all. It really does look like an unblinking face staring straight ahead. Carter does not seem to notice and continues filming for quite some time. This video of urban exploration, published by Backyard Exploration in January 2015, is particularly eerie, because what's scarier than dark, damp tunnels and nowhere to turn? In the video description, Backyard Exploration writes, "As the city grew, much of the underworld was sealed and forgotten. We infiltrate the sewers in search for this lost history. Unlike many entries on this list, these guys mean business. They are decked out with gear, headlamps, ropes, and safety equipment for sewer exploration, and they will need it. The underground is a dangerous place, and if you're claustrophobic, the tight spaces might give you screaming anxiety. Even worse, if you're squeamish, you might want to sit this one out, as there's loads of wading through raw sewage." The exploration shows the bricked underbelly of the sewage system, along with the sewer rats that scurry across the ground and up the walls. Water trickles down from above as the team continues to trapeze through the dark tunnels. The team crawls and climbs through narrow channels to make sure no stone is left unturned, and at one point, they even walk waist deep in sewage water, which is sometimes calm, sometimes rushing. In some areas, there are massive amounts of cockroaches skittering across the ceiling of the tunnel. All in all, it's pretty much every phobia imaginable in one. As After Dark said in the comments, this is the stuff that nightmares are made of, this tunnel. But fortunately, this nightmare does come to an end. As the video concludes, they exit the sewage tunnel to breathe fresher air and see daylight again. On January 15th, 2013, YouTuber Mr. Hutch117 posted this strange sound heard in the forest.
I want to be out here like that.
Where did it come from? We're in the middle of nowhere, the man filming asks. The man believed it was coming from up above somehow, though it also seems to come from every direction. He and his hiking partner had just heard a noise that was a bit off-putting. He decided to turn on his phone's video to capture the sound if they heard it again. Halfway through the footage, you can hear why they were concerned. The sound sounds off again, and it seemed like the guttural laughter of a demon.
Maybe it wasn't 2012, it was 2013.
Then comes on a deep and echoey wailing, something that's not human, not animal, not anything known. Well, viewers think it must be fake because the people in the video aren't reacting much to the frightening sound. Others suggest it could be related to the mysterious trumpet-like noises heard worldwide, and some say it could be the US government project HARP. What do you think it is? Something has been lurking outside of this YouTuber's tent since 2 in the morning. Now it's 6:15 a.m. and the creature is more interested in getting inside more than ever. The cameraman timidly peeks out from his tent and spots a tall, muscular lion pacing back and forth. It seems particularly interested in the tent across from them, which fortunately is uninhabited. Eventually, the lion gains access to the adjacent tent and raids it for supplies. I'm not sure if he found anything or not. but eventually the lion walks off a short while later. I have little doubt that he could smell these humans and knew he was on the other side the entire time, but I guess the lion wasn't sure if he was a formidable opponent or not, and ultimately decided to leave him alone. The man breathes a sigh of relief and quickly packs up. Mountain lions are known to stalk their victims. Published in September of 2014, YouTuber Sophia Zhang wrote, during Chris's 2014 summer mountain biking adventure, a mountain lion stalked him, and in this video, you can see how he handled the hungry mountain lion in the wilderness near Fernie, BC. In the video, a man is standing in a clearing with some tall brush, trees all around, and a dirt path. He claims there's a mountain lion in the vicinity, but for the first couple minutes, you have to take his word for it, because the animal is completely camouflaged. But at the 2-minute mark, you catch the lion creeping towards the man who is shooting the video. At least it's creeping at first, then it starts walking, and as it closes in, the man scurries backwards for a moment, then he turns around and the lion is just standing there in the path, looking calmly at him. He starts talking to the lion also calmly. He tells the lion that he's much bigger than him, and the lion doesn't care. He creeps into some bushes, and you can hear him growling, as the guy now shouts "Go!" The lion just creeps around the other side until he's in full view again. He stares the guy down, seemingly unintimidated by him, but the guy turns around and tells him to stay back, saying, "I'm not afraid of you." The lion then just turns around carelessly and plods away. Just another day in the forest. The CCTV video of Hannah Graham was taken on the night of her disappearance. You can see her walking in the background from right to left with a man tagging along behind her. Here is a closer look at Jesse Matthews, the man responsible for taking her life. Police used this video and other similar footage to determine that Jesse approached Hannah and had a conversation. Police dogs detected Hannah's scent on the door of Jesse's car and around a dumpster near Jesse's house. They got a search warrant and found her belongings inside. Police used Jesse's DNA to link him to another woman named Morgan Harrington, whose body was discovered years earlier. Jesse was sentenced to life for these horrifying actions. Papa Jake is returning to a haunted sewer tunnel that he explored once before, but this time it's 3 a.m. He and his friends think that a large sewer creature might be down there, so they bring a lot of extra equipment like motion sensors and night vision to capture it on video. Their first encounter happens not in the tunnel itself, but rather in the surrounding woods.
Something's in the nest! Something's in the nest! Something is in the nest!
What appears to be some type of humanoid creature scampers across the forest floor on all fours. Only one of the two friends see it, so I guess he manages to convince himself that it was nothing, and they continue to press on. A short while later, they finally locate the tunnel. They are very deep inside when a strange and haunting moan convinces them to get out of there fast.
Oh Jesus, what was that? What was that?
The noise is coming from the same direction they just came from, so Papa Jake and his friend try to outrun the creature at a fast pace, taking blind turn after blind turn for a full 5 minutes. It isn't long before they find themselves wandering down an oversized pipe, completely lost. Whatever is chasing them, on the other hand, apparently knows every last twist and turn of this labyrinthian cesspit and finds them quickly. At this point, they all stopped recording to run for their lives. Papa Jake now feels he has sufficient evidence of the rake, and I doubt he will ever go back there. As always, be sure to let me know if you think this is real or not based on what you've seen. Their reactions all seem very genuine, but there's always the possibility of special effects. Though there are plenty of strange noises caught on tape, this one is as scary as it is mysterious. Published by Jimmy Dillard in June of 2013, Dillard left his camera in the forest to capture deer. Instead, he captured some strange screaming, grunting, and rocks being thrown at his camera. While Dillard thought it might just be children playing around or a homeless man disturbing the forest, we'll never know the truth because the source of the sound and disturbance never appeared on camera. In watching the video, you can hear a bellow echo throughout the wilderness, almost Tarzan-like in nature. Later in the video, you hear tree branches breaking. Then one of the most chilling noises is that of a growl or a bark. The thing sounds human, but not quite. You can hear whatever it is clamber through the leaves and branches. The whole video is quite unsettling, almost more upsetting, because you can't see the source of the sound. Although from the sounds of it, the creature must be very near. You expect it to jump out at you at any moment. I've been hiking and camping since I was little, and I've heard just about every animal in Georgia, but I've never heard anything like this, Dillard wrote. One thing to keep in mind is that elk and moose don't inhabit this region, but could it be some other animal? Which leaves us to wonder, what in the world is residing in this forest? This video comes from 2009. A YouTuber named Linger has been experiencing strange paranormal encounters for as long as he can remember and decides to document them one night as proof. He's crossing through a room when suddenly he sees a blank face peering at him from a doorway. This has apparently happened to him before and he flings open the door. Nothing's inside. Just like all the times before, he shuts the door and the face reappears. Look closely and you'll see a hand reach for him as well. He grabs the camera and looks inside the room a second time. No one is in there and this noise is all that he finds. These friends are too busy gathering around a campfire to notice something is scampering behind them.
Well, you've been sharpening it for like 2 hours.
Just out of reach, watch it again.
Well, you've been sharpening it for like 2 hours.
The furless creature moves on all fours in an unnatural way that resembles no forest animal I've ever seen before. If it's not computer-generated imagery, then perhaps this is footage of the rake or some other forest beast. Cryptid Hunter and 2 of his friends are returning to a cave that they believe to be haunted. This time they are using a paranormal investigative technique that I have never seen before. They bring dolls with them into the cave that they believe are already haunted. They want to see how the spirits in the dolls react to the spirits in the cave. They also use long, thin rods that the spirits can use to respond to questions.
Please point the rod to the most haunted doll that's inside his mind. Right, there it goes again.
Then the spirits in the cave apparently decide to skip and make their presence known in a much more physical way.
What the was that?
The smooth cave walls probably have little traction, so the doll could have just fallen over on its own. Then again, maybe it was really pushed over by an unseen spirit. Clearly the doll somehow moved. So those are the only 2 explanations I have. Let me know which one you think it was.
And I always look up to the sky and I always say, "Hi, Dad."
That's how a YouTuber named Jennifer Moen5 pays her respects to her dad, who has since passed on. Then one day it looks like her father says hello back to her and her family.
Oh boy.
You can see a shimmering orb rise and fall to the ground as soon as she says hi to her father. I wanted to add that this is the only paranormal video on Jennifer's channel, which otherwise focuses on enjoying wholesome moments with family, so I really don't think this is video editing. I also wanted to ask that everyone please show the utmost respect when telling me if you believe this is real or fake, since it deals with the memory of a loved one. This is 8-year-old Libby Chaletsky leaving his school one day in Brooklyn, New York. When he fails to come home that night, his father looks at the CCTV video and starts retracing his son's path. The school's video shows his son walking down the road and making a left. He stops in a nearby locksmith store and talks to the owner, who is a neighborhood friend. The locksmith has no problem showing the worried father his CCTV footage. It shows Libby walking one direction and then doubling back as if he is lost. You can see someone in a white shirt walking with him shortly before he goes off camera. The father tracks down more CCTV videos from other businesses and paints a disturbing picture. He watches his son get into a man's car and they drive off somewhere. He checks the same camera later and sees them return. The stranger gets out of the car and leads his son into a white building. This is a small Brooklyn community, so the father instantly recognizes this place as the local dentist office. He passes all of this information to the authorities and they raid the dentist's office and home. What they find is a grisly and scary scene. The dentist has taken his son apart and is keeping him in the freezer. His name is Levi Aaron. He told officials that he sometimes hears voices in his head, though he never said what they told him to do or why he took Libby's life. Though sheer insanity appears to be his motive, he was nonetheless sentenced to 40 years. When Brian Schultz entered the forest in September of 2015, he probably wasn't expecting to be spooked by something that was perhaps paranormal. In his video description, he writes, "Camping trip on September 6, 2015. I was alone and seen strange lights moving from tree to tree of different sizes and colors. I was doing a live periscope at the time, so the video isn't the best quality." In the video, he was reading his live viewers' comments and responding. After the event occurred, he called into Art Bell's show, Midnight in the Desert, and talked on air about what had occurred. You can see a flash of light between the trees, with Brian's flashlight directed towards it. The flash looks like a spark of light. When he turns his flashlight off, the light is broad and bright. Whatever the light is, keeps flashing in the trees, low, high, everywhere. At times it appears like a flashlight. Other times Brian suspects it's a UFO. Others in the comments said they've had similar experiences before with no explanation. Many commenters say at 2 minutes 36 seconds in the video, there is something or someone seen moving behind him.
But this light keeps flashing up in the trees, different areas. It's really weird and I don't know how to describe it because it keeps flashing in different areas of the trees.
If we slow down the footage, you can definitely see something move. Do you have an explanation? Australian Survival School is a YouTube channel documenting what it's like to live in the big down under. In today's lesson, what should be a simple joyride gets stalled by a large and potentially dangerous discovery that's all too common in Australia.
Get out my car!
The brave man pulls with all of his strength and finally dislodges the massive reptile from its hiding spot. Let me know what kind of snake this is and if it's venomous or not. That way, we'll know how risky this man's maneuver really was. This video is from a camping trip that Emery Buckner and his friends took back in 2010. After introducing each of his friends by name, something catches Emery's eye. He zooms in on a small clearing in the woods that's just up ahead, and that's when he sees it for the first time.
Guys, what is that?
I think it is. I think it's... What's what, really?
Seriously, guys, there's something I seriously saw something over there. Tom?
None of his friends manage to see it, but Emery encourages them to stay still and keep looking. Then, sure enough, the red glowing eyes return.
Guys?
What? Oh my God.
What is that? That's it. That's it. Oh my gosh.
What is it?
They waste little time retreating to their boat and speed away to safety. But just before they take off, Emery catches the creature a final time. It's now casually observing the group while perched in a tree. its head cocked to the side, its faint outline barely visible behind a pair of glowing red eyes. Published in June of 2008 by Damian Black, the shadow people of Emerson County are caught on video causing havoc in the forest. According to Damian in his description, the first reports of these creatures occurred in 1957. In his own words, in August of 1997, roughly 2 miles from where original reports originated, a video camera was found and turned into local authorities. What they saw on the old tape was scary, mysterious, and remains unexplained to this day. The video shows some grainy footage in the forest. At first, there's just trees and brush, but after a moment, the cameraman says he's heard something moving. Zooming in, you can vaguely see that something, a translucent form of a figure as it moves through the trees. It's difficult to tell if it's a man, animal, or something else, but it does look like a shadow figure. At first, it seems perfectly docile, and then it screams. The pair run, but it's unknown whether they made it out of the forest alive. That terrifying sound may have been the last thing they ever heard. It's a cold, dark winter's night. You're walking down a snow-packed road, street lamps the only source of light to guide you. It's silent as the grave until you hear this noise. Published in February of 2013, Matt J describes what he captured on video: weird, creepy squealing noises coming out of a manhole drain cover in Switzerland. Emanating from out of the manhole cover is an eerie, otherworldly noise, melodic and high-pitched. The noise sounds like some kind of call, lasting for a couple seconds with a pause between each mysterious address. The call goes on continuously, maybe even interminably. What could this sound be? Is it code for something? And what in the world is making the noise? Of course, YouTube doesn't disappoint when it comes to theories. Suggestions range from a person in the sewer to a screaming rat, to Pennywise, of course. But the most likely explanation comes from a YouTuber who offered up his expertise, saying the sound is coming from the flow regulator system. Fair enough, but I'd still like to think that there's something sinister sending messages through our sewer system. A gut feeling, a sensation, is almost worse than the reality itself. Say you're alone in the forest, the hair stands up on the back of your neck. You get the sensation that something is watching you. What do you do? Druid Raven Scout published this video in August of 2015, explaining this very scenario. Well, he packed up his bags to leave the forest. He said he felt something that he couldn't explain, a gut feeling that something or someone was following him. He said he felt threatening sensations as he walked the path over a couple of hours. He had planned on staying in the forest another night, but his intuition was telling him not to. During the 18-minute video, he explains that he feels like he's being observed. He also says he heard something strange up in the trees as he walked the path earlier. He does manage to escape the forest without meeting his stalker, but not without shaking the feeling that something certainly was watching. Aokihara, also known as the Sea of Trees, is an infamous Japanese forest. Well, there are certain areas that are so dense that a feeling of solitude exists there like nowhere else. Sound is also absorbed, allowing for a kind of quiet you've never heard. Yuri, ghosts of the past away from Japanese myths and legends, reside in this forest. Needless to say, the place is grim, and it becomes even more grim when you bring a Ouija board and attempt to talk to the spirits. Red Poppy Ranch is the name of a YouTuber who is looking for something creepy that someone claims to have found on his property before. He has personally searched the area on 3 separate occasions and never managed to find anything, but something compels him to get on his ATV and look again. This time he sees a landmark that his friend was talking about, an old fence post that was once a corral for holding livestock. He knows that he is close to what he is looking for. Red Poppy Ranch pays attention to the ground while he walks. Then he finds it in a small overgrown patch of land.
So now, I'm gonna go see if I can figure out what happened.
It's the final resting place of a 1-year-old boy who was born in the late 1940s. Red Poppy Ranch lives in a small town somewhere in the northwestern United States where everybody knows each other, but when he asks around, nobody recognizes the last name on this marker, Gold. The YouTuber later digs into the city's official records, but he finds no indication of who this boy was or what happened to him. However, he was able to discover that there was an extremely harsh winter in the year of 1949, so perhaps this is what claimed the child's life. We'll never know for sure why this young child was buried in the middle of nowhere. This video was supposedly taken somewhere in Arizona in 1997. It was later found in an abandoned police station according to the description. The large group is walking towards a bright light in the horizon, and it almost looks as if there has recently been a large crash. As they get closer, this alien-looking creature emerges and takes a few steps before noticing their presence. A giant beam of light bursts from its chest, and the group runs off before we can see what happens next. I'm not sure if this was a costume or not. I wish we got a closer look at the alien, but from this distance, I'd say there is a possibility that this video could be real. Isaiah Harris published his sewer exploration in March of 2018, describing it as the utter most scariest video that I've ever recorded yet. He went on to say, "I think it was mostly because of the position I was in, and how much ghostly things I heard and seen." The first clip shows Harris along with 2 young accomplices exploring the underground sewer during the daytime. They make their way along a tunnel to an area with pooled water, which has frozen over with ice. In a second video of the sewer exploration, Harris, joined this time by his brother and sister-in-law, shows how they entered the sewer by lifting up a big iron storm grate and crawling under. The tunnel is filled with graffiti, and they jump down from this initial tunnel to a broader area. A ladder is also positioned there, suggesting that this area is a regular stomping ground for exploration. They continue on, and Harris explains to his crew that there will soon be a ditch with shin-deep water, and there may be a den beyond, as he found evidence of people living there once before. The ditch area is filled with ice and a layer of snow over top. Harris jumps down, breaking through the ice. The other 2 decide to turn back because they think they've heard something in the tunnel. But that's when Harris looks deep into the tunnel beyond and decides that he too wants to hightail it out of there, after he claims to have seen something down there. They start to make their way back, but pause when they hear a growling sound. Harris also notes that there's a handprint on the wall. As they arrive at the exit ladder, they also hear tapping sounds coming from within the tunnel. They manage to make it out of the tunnel without incident, but one does wonder whether the creature within was human or monster. Even animals that look as slow and non-menacing as moose are. YouTuber Azeroth6390 discovered that in June of 2007 when he published this video, writing, "My dad and my grandfather were trying to chase a moose into the forest because it was in a village scaring people. What happened next? Well, see for yourself. The moose is wandering in the forest, and you can see a man and his dog head towards it. The shot cuts to 3 moose running along next to a home, presumably being chased off by someone, while a dog nearby the man filming starts barking. That's when one of the moose has had enough. He clambers through the trees towards the dog, and the man filming the man lets out a crazy bellow, so the moose thinks better of it. Also, he seems to be having a tough time getting through the thick bramble. The moose retreats, and the man filming says, "She tried to get us," in his native language. Moose can be very dangerous in terms of behavior. They're not as aggressive as bears, but their population size means you are more likely to be injured by one than you are by any bear. According to how stuff works in Alaska alone, moose outnumber bears nearly 3 to 1, wounding around 5 to 10 people in the state annually. That's more than grizzly bear and black bear attacks combined. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want to feel the power of the weight behind those antlers.
Okay, seriously? This car is haunted. It's off. I just came outside. There's no one in it. Why is that thing just spinning on its own?
Chance Raspberry is heading to his car when he notices his rearview mirror accessory is moving in fast circles all by itself. What's especially weird is that the car is completely shut off, so it can't be from the air conditioning, as he has not been inside of the car for a long time, so he didn't bump it while getting out. There should be no way for this ornament to be dangling on its own. To prove his point, Chance films himself taking a long walk to his car without turning off the camera. It's a good 30 seconds or so of walking. His car is visible the entire time and no one gets in or out. Yet when he reaches his car, the object is still moving just as quickly as before, as if no time had passed at all.
This is insane. This is insane. The car is off, the windows are up. There is no draft, there is no breeze, there is nothing to perpetually keep that thing in motion.
I suppose there could be some sort of magnet inside of the accessory, but even still, I don't know what it would be attracted to. Since my best guess hardly makes any sense, I'd definitely like to hear what yours is.
It's creeping me out. I lived here for going on 7 years. I walked 100 miles through these woods. Never seen that shape before right there.
That's the reaction of James Jones after finding a strange human silhouette standing motionless in the Tennessee forest. What's especially perplexing is how James should be close enough to see the person's facial features, yet their entire visage is shrouded in darkness.
It's not a broken tree or whatever. I don't know. It looks like it's connected right there, but it's not. I've been over there 1,000 times.
Even if this was a tree, there's not much of a reason for it to be completely dark instead of the same color as every other tree around. It almost looks like the figure is wearing a colonial-style hat. Maybe it's the spirit of a soldier from the Revolutionary War, or maybe they were a soldier in the Civil War. Let me know what you think it was, and if you think James was in any trouble on that day. A YouTuber named Sans the Skeleton 101 thinks he may have seen a monster lurking in his yard. The out-of-focus object looks like it could be a creature on all fours, but I'm just not sure. It doesn't really seem to be moving, and could just easily be a pile of dirt. Whatever it is, it sends Sans the Skeleton 101 running back into his house in terror. Let me know what you think it was, and if you think he was really in any significant danger at the time. A lifeless person is wrapped in a blue tarp that was recently found in Camptown, Pennsylvania, and a local news reporter is digging for details. She arranges for an interview with someone named Matthew Haverly, a man who happens to live across from the creek where the person was found. He acts completely surprised about the situation and disavows any knowledge of what could have transpired.
I had no clue. Sad to say that that's someone's either daughter, mother, whatever, both, child.
Hours later, police discover that the person was, in fact, none other than Matthew's mother, which makes this last comment a terrible coincidence. If Matthew was aware beforehand that it was his mother floating in the creek, he gives absolutely no indication at the time. He ends the short interview by saying how the person was probably dumped in the creek out of town by hitmen.
It would be like a place where people from the city would want to put a body because most likely they wouldn't be found.
Police investigators don't buy this explanation one bit. They raid his property, and in his shed they find the same blue tarp that his mother's body was wrapped in. As of this date, he has been charged with a capital offense but not yet convicted. If he is found guilty, then this means out of sheer coincidence, the reporter had unknowingly scheduled an interview with the very same man who had taken his mother's life not too long ago. She may very well have been standing just a few feet away from a calm and collected psycho without realizing it. Remember that footage of the raging Eagle Creek forest fire? Just imagine being in the middle of it, driving right through the very center. While driving, I can only imagine they're wondering whether or not they'll live through this horror, or maybe they've already gone to the other side. In the video, you can barely see the road as smoke rises all over and hellish fire springs up along the roadside. Sparks of embers fly across the windshield, making the viewer feel like they're in the center of a fire pit. You can also see specks of black ash flick across the window. Finally, they make it onto the main road and make a break for it. Although it's still very smoky, slowly but surely the smoke vanishes as they escape the fire zone. That was one scary and wild ride. Thank you so much for getting me to 5,000 subscribers on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Let's get to 10,000 subscribers. Thank you.